I am working on resurfacing some walls. We had horrible sort of 1970s spray texturing put on every single wall everywhere on our house. It's awful. You can't wash it, and when you have 6 kids, all you can do is paint over the dirt. So we had some painters here last year, and I said I had already removed the texturing from an entire bathroom, and I used a hand sander, and it made the worst mess you can ever imagine. The dust is so fine it gets everywhere. Those hand tools don't have dust collection that really works very well. And so the dust collection is done on the floor. And it was very messy, and I have a household full of asthmatics. So I asked him, is there another way to do this? And he said, oh, yeah. He said, you got a metal scraper and you scrape it off. It pops off like popcorn. And I'm looking at him rather dubiously, like, these walls have been painted and repainted and repainted. And so they're cemented in there with lots of dirt and lots of paint. And I decided, though, one day when I was beginning to do the room that you're going to see. I'm going to see if I can turn this thing around. I guess I can't. We have a beautiful room now that has, it's a little hard to see, very smooth walls. And the way I did it, I'm going to show you today. I'm now doing the closet. This room is complete. And you really do take a metal scraper. My son, Patrick, was wonderful and did the scraping work for me. And I don't know how well you can see this. But there is texturing on this wall still, but it's much better. It's basically smoothed off. So what I have now, instead of texturing, is moon craters, because all the texturing pops off when you scrape it, leaving a very rough textured wall, but it's not nearly as bad as it was. So the next step after that is to put smoothing plaster on the walls. And actually, nope, I take it back. You have a horrible surface to work with now that you've scraped it. So the next step is to prime it. And I used, as far as I'm concerned, the best primer on the market. It says deadly flammable here. It is Zinsser stain cover. It's a oil-based primer, and I primed the walls. After I wiped them down with just a damp cloth to get all the powder off, I primed the walls. After that, I now have a good surface to work with. And I started using smoothing plaster. For this, I just went to Home Depot, where I happen to work, and got all-purpose joint compound. It's a sheetrock mud, comes in a 5-gallon tub, dirt cheap. It's about $15 for that entire bucket. And I just use a plastic scraper. Generally, the wider, the better within reason. I am having a running argument with my son-in-law, who likes to use a 12-inch spreader, and I find it's just too difficult to manage, so I use a 6-inch one. And you spread the dry wall mud on, get it as smooth as you can, but it's not going to be perfect. And then you let it get about half dry. And after that, then you can do wet sanding. I used to wait until it was bone dry and do regular sanding, but of course then you end up with the very fine dust all over the floor, just like I did with the sanding. It's just not in the air. However, it turned out to be fairly wasteful, because you put it on and then you're sanding a whole bunch of it off, and you have to put another coat on, and then you have to sand a whole bunch of that off. And generally I found it was 3 coats. And with the wet sanding, I can get a okay smooth walls with a single coat, better with a second. But I'll show you what I'm doing right here. This wall here, I'm doing a closet. Let me back up so it can be seen properly. All right, here we go. It's one of those big closets that have a very wide opening. It's almost 30 inches, but the closet itself is about 50 inches wide. And we used to have those horrible double sliding doors where you could only see one half of the closet at a time. If you have 2 people in the morning and they're in a hurry, it's horrible. So for this particular project, since this is our first actual real live extra room, not like used for anybody at the moment. We're converting it into a game room. It'll have We'll finally have a home for our probably 100 board games and almost as many card games. And then we will also have this closet will have 6 shelves. They will actually come, if we go right here, here's the edge of they will be inside the closet and will actually come out here with a small bull nose. And so this will be an actual built-in bookcase. Very high, very wide, lots of storage. And our intention is to use 1 million baskets, and we're finding the hardest part is to find baskets that are deep enough. You can go everywhere and find little 12-inch high or 11 or 10-inch square baskets. And this is going to be 29 inches deep in places and maybe 20 inches in the side parts. So recently I did find some baskets at IKEA that are that wide. I couldn't make them, but I did some calculations on the cost, and it's actually a lot cheaper to buy them. So that's what this project is. And so today, one of the things I have a problem with is I have many responsibilities. And so I have a tendency to come in, okay, quick, I have 10 minutes, let me surface some. So last week, before I went to Ohio for Grace's college graduation, it's hard to see, I put on the first coat. You can see, maybe looking in the corner, it's a bit rough. It's difficult to get it completely smooth. Right here, next to it is the wall I have not done yet, that still is rough. So it went completely dry. Ideally, you let it get half dry and then you go ahead and do the wet sanding while it is not dried up. It's still possible to do it after it's totally dry. You just have what I have right here, which is a bowl of water and a sanding sponge, which has gotten much use. I had to buy a couple more. And what I'm doing here is wet sanding. I'm letting the drywall compound absorb the water, and then it smooths. What happens is you collect little bits on the edge that you can use to fill spots if you've got low ones, and it makes it amazingly smooth. I am toying with the thought of, I'm toying with the thought of doing only one coat for this thing, because it is going to be the interior closet, but I'm trying not to be too much of a perfectionist because I want my efforts to be actually on the shelving itself. Our intention, if you look out here, that is a beautiful kind of a pearly blue that we have in there. I am going to paint this back wall of the closet the same color, not the sides and the front here, just the back, and because that'll be visible. Really, the rest of it's not going to be a whole lot visible. But my aim is to get completely smooth walls, which will be amazing. I wish I had this on every room in the house, and I hope eventually to do all of it. But for today, that's pretty much it. I will be spending my day, or what's left of the day, doing some wet sanding here, getting it as smooth as I can get it, and then after it dries, I'll decide whether it needs another coat or not. It dries very quickly. By the time I'm around the corner texturing to the other side, this side is mostly dry. So if I actually had an entire day to devote to this, I could do the whole closet probably in one day. I gotta get my stepladder out because I'm neglecting the high parts right now. But it is an 8-foot high closet that is about 18 or 19 inches deep on the sides and 20, 25, 27, something like that on the outside. They're going to be seriously deep closets, and Patrick is going to be so happy because for the last 4 or 5 years, our family games have been stored in his closet, and he's 25 now and getting ready to graduate from school, and he would really like to have a room that actually had a closet. So all those games will be going in here. We're all looking forward to it. Meanwhile, Grace is here for the summer. She's our youngest and just graduated from college. She'll be going to grad school, but I'm very grateful to have her here because she is a huge help in projects like this. So thanks, and I'll post another update with how the closet is coming sometime soon. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you again.